Welcome to this week's episode of Time Out with GC right here on Channel 263. What a bumper show we've got for you. I've got the guys from the Freeway Recovery Centre in retreat joining me in studio. Amazing work they are doing with those that need assistance when it comes to substance abuse. They are in studio with me. But first of all, Edris Burton pops into the show and Pitso Mosamani is under pressure at Al Ahly.
Yes, Gershon, thank you for having me on the show once again. Yeah, tough times for Pitso. I think he's had what they call the honeymoon period. Has been absolutely amazing, winning the league and then going on to win the CAF Champions League and then participating in the World Club competition as well. So, his real coaching ability is coming to the fore now. Tough times. Their first loss in the CAF Champions League away to Simba. Tough result for a big club like Al Ahly to take, and then coming back home, picking up a draw this weekend pass. So it's been a really tough time for Pitso, and I'm not sure if the Al Ahly board is going to be as tolerant as they've been. It's one of the biggest clubs in Africa, and I think there is a little bit of pressure brewing there.
9 points from 15 in the league. They found themselves third in the CAF Champions League at the moment and defending champions. Could we possibly see Pitso being fired if he doesn't pick up wins very soon?
I think so. We've just got to look at how he got into the position as head coach of Al Ahly, coming on the back of a coach that have taken them to the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the Champions League, doing well in the league, and basically getting into a position for them, and then for them having to fire the coach. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on Pitso. And if he doesn't get 3 points in the next game at home or away, he's going to be under tremendous pressure.
Edris Burton, as always, thank you for popping in and thank you for chatting to us on Time Out with GC.
Thank you, Gershon, and it's always a pleasure.
Well, from Edris Burton, thank you so much for popping in. We now welcome my guest in studio, Greg Craig and Peter Max. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love these stories when you know there's a part 2, part 3 to it. But we'll start with Greg. Greg Craig is the executive director at the Freeway Centre in Retreat, 11th Avenue, and then Peter Max, retail manager for PPC. Greg, amazing work that you do at Freeway Centre. You yourself, a recovering addict.
That's right.
You know what it takes. You've been down that dark road, and as you said the last time, you help others to see the light at the end of a very dark tunnel when it comes to substance abuse.
That's right. It's been a journey, an exciting journey, just to see people's lives being transformed, being plugged back into being plugged in and productive member of society. Very exciting because, I've seen people come in on the first day and looking at them and sitting down with their parents, and basically the parents in tears saying, please help my son. And then after 3 months again, seeing they're united with their families, things are looking good. We try and get employment for them. So there's many things that we do, but the best for me is always seeing there's loads of success rates, and then a friend of mine always says this, he says, some will, some won't. Some do and some don't. And there are people that don't get it right the first time, but I've seen success after success, and that's what inspires me. It's not about a numbers game, seeing people being transformed and then reunited with their families. That's the blessing that I get out of that.
Greg has got the same initials as me, GC. He's very cool. We'll show you a shot of his shoes later on. These shoes are so funky. I sometimes think that he's only 22 years old, but he's not. Peter Max.
Yes.
I know Greg wants to giggle. He's not going to giggle. The work that PPC does in communities is always uplifting.
Yeah.
I mean, you get so many people that come to you and say, hey, can you help? Can you help? But in a tough economic time, I mean, those decisions are very hard to make.
Yeah, look, with PPC, we definitely get a lot of requests requests for sponsorship. And unfortunately, you can't assist everybody. You sometimes need to actually make that tough decision on how do I choose this organization over the next one. And with Freeway, it was one of those where when I went to Greg and I met Greg and Toto and I listened to what they do in the community, it just resonated with what we wanted to do as PPC. And we said, our job is to empower communities to experience a better quality of life. And when we see the work they do with these young men, taking them from broken backgrounds and broken situations, trying to build them, we said we'd want to be part of this journey. And for us, the partnership with Freeway started October last year. And it's about sustainability. So it's not going to be a one-off, one-hit wonder. You know, we want this thing to be something that goes further into the future.
When beneficiaries, we don't call them people, we don't call them individuals, they are beneficiaries of your program, which is 3 to 6 months. And these programs could cost 80,000 Rand at other centers. You run an NGO, and I'm sure that donor fatigue does settle in.
Definitely. I remember going just after not after lockdown, but in October, looking for and going back to our donors. And many of the donors that I've gone to, I see a white paper on their buildings, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And these were reputable companies, and then seeing that they weren't able to sustain themselves through the Corona period. So it was sad. It was sad for me, but at the same time, I was really inspired because I got some good news from PPC, and I looked at that and I thought to myself, that was just affirmation that the work that we've been doing, you know, I look at that work and I'm thinking to myself, it makes it so much worthwhile, even for our beneficiaries, looking at this and teaching them a new skill, empowering them. And then not only on our beneficiaries, but then able to extend that to the outer community, you know, because in our communities, people are struggling. We also do feeding, and when I look at that, I see how not normal people knocking on doors. You see that, you can see that this person just lost their job. And so looking at that as an organization, seeing how we can equip our people, you know, with a skill, not asking for, because in our communities, man, if you go to the shop, you'll see people asking, don't you have a Rand? Don't you have a 2 Rand? Here we want to give them a skill so they don't need to go begging here.
Peter Max, that skill. I mean, I've seen Peter Max at this workshop. I mean, you are skillful yourself because you're teaching them how it's done properly, how to make that brick, because at the end of the day, freeways can then sustain themselves and then manufacture blocks.
Yes, Gershwin. So from our side as PPC, we look at sustainability. If you always hear people use the little, you know, a couple of words, and they say, don't give a man a fish, rather teach him how to fish, because then your job is done, because he's going to be able to sustain himself. So that's exactly what we aim to do as PPC. When we went out to Freeway, we started teaching them how to make blocks, good quality blocks, obviously with locally produced product, which is PPC, the product itself, the cement. And the first day you meet somebody who doesn't know how to make a block, doesn't know how to mix, you know, the sandstone and cement, and when you take him through that process and you show him how simple it can be, and you know that satisfaction at the end of the day when you see the confidence of someone actually saying, wow, I've taken these ingredients and I've made a block. You know, for me, that almost talks to the same work that they're doing, to say you're taking pieces of somebody's life and you're building one whole, which is obviously this person that after 3 to 6 months you want them to go out there back into community. So for us, that's exactly the same vision that we have, you know, when we do these workshops. It's about proper empowerment, you know, giving that skill to a person so that, like Greg says, we don't want them to be always begging and asking, you know, listen, I need a Rand, I need 2 Rand. I'd be very happy if one day, out of the many that attend these workshops, somebody can come back to me and say, you know what, I've learned this skill from you 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's very encouraging to hear that.
You yourself have now attended the second brick making workshop. Yeah. And you seem like you've been there for a few years already doing this.
You know what I love about Peter and PPC, and Peter leads from the front. You know what I'm saying?
He gets his boots dirty with that dugger.
Yeah, and so that inspires, because it takes teamwork to make a dream work. And when I was looking at the guys, and in the beginning, it was a struggle. You know, how do we get this block into? how do we mix that cement, how do we mix the sand, how do we put the stone together, and then kind of seeing the end result. And not only looking at the end result, but then seeing how that camaraderie of how they came together, and then getting that end result. For me, that was, they became passionate about this, and looking at that job, and looking at, some of them said, I don't want to do the hard work, but I would love to own the company. So people were looking at different aspects of block making, and then also seeing how it can be a sustainable business for them, as we've offered it to the community as well. So that's exciting times, because you sometimes people come in there that have no hope, no dreams, nothing, and here, just to listen to them, getting feedback from when the workshop was complete, this is what we want to do. There's an excitement now. Some of them looked at their hands and they said, sure, I haven't worked so hard in a long time. There were calluses on their hands. So these are the things that, I love the motivation behind this. It really does something for me. And then just from PPC side, how they've motivated us as an organization as well. We will go out now and just continuously just, make the bricks. And then see how that can be self-sustainable for us, how we would market that. So, in that same way, they're upskilling us with marketing and all the other skills that we most never, we did not have,
My guests are Greg Craig, Executive Director at Freeway Centre, and then also Peter Max, Retail Manager for PPC. Peter, I know that you guys have got big plans for your project right now with Freeway Centre. We're talking about a container. You've given them a block making machine. There's also a water tanker coming. What does this mean for Freeway Centre and the project when it comes to brick making or block making?
Okay, so from our side, when we met a little under 5 months ago in October, we had a discussion with Greg, and we said, listen, let's take you through this workshop. When we're done with the workshop, I just want some feedback in terms of, do you think it's something that you'd be interested in doing in terms of a long-term project? Or is it something where we're just going to do it once off? And I was very delighted when I found out that he shares the same vision that I do. To say, look, this can be something that can be sustainable, but he obviously pointed out that there were some hurdles. The hurdles would be the block machine, a container, a piece of land, and a tank or a source of water. And from our side as PPC, went back, dug a bit deeper into those pockets, and we came back and we said, look, Greg, this is what we can offer from our side. So we've offered the block machine, which is the very same one we were using on the day with the second workshop. So we did the handover to them. There is a water tank, a 5,000 litre tank, which they will put on site. Just makes it easier for them when they're making blocks, because not all sites have potable water. And then there'll be a container which they'll obviously be able to use for storage, storage either of materials or expensive stuff that they can't leave out in the open. So from our side, it's really talking about sustainability, because we want this project to go forward, and we've made a commitment as well in terms of our time as PPC to say we will go back, and every 3 months we will have those workshops at least for the next year and a half. Each time a new batch of beneficiaries comes through, we'd love to be part of that process of taking them through the same steps that we have done with the group in October. I mean, you'll speak to some of the guys where in October when we started talking, some of them had never ever mixed cement, sand and stone before. Yeah. It was something brand new to them, and when you see them now, they're like seasoned block and brick makers. They can actually tell me, Peter, this is what we're looking at. No, that's too much water. No, that's too much of this. So it's very encouraging to see that hunger and thirst. And from my side, I said, it doesn't necessarily mean if I'm doing a brick and block making workshop with you, I want you to become a brick and block maker. I want you to take some of those skills, which we're using on the day in the workshop, and apply them to your life, wherever that's going to be. I mean, Greg spoke of something pertinent. He spoke of the teamwork. So when we are doing these workshops, I look around and I see the guys who are trying to hide. And I just try to encourage them to say, please come, give this a go, try it. Because not everybody is that extroverted that they're quick to latch on to something. So it's just encouraging to say when you start in the morning, you've got a person who's very much introverted in a shell, and by day end they're opening up and they're talking, and there's that camaraderie, there's that feeling of having done something worthwhile, because now he or she can actually see the blocks and bricks they've made. And one thing that we always do is once somebody has actually worked on the machine, I say, pull the machine away, have a look at what you've done. You can see that look of excitement to say, wow, was that really me who's done that? So for me, that really just pulls on the strings for me.
Peter Max, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and that is Retail Manager for PPC, Peter Max. Craig will still be staying with us because we'll be having another conversation with one of the beneficiaries that'll be joining us right on the show. His name is Emil Naika. We'll see you after the break.